An old interview clip of Liam Hayes, a name synonymous with pop stardom, had resurfaced and was blazing a trail across the internet. In it, a younger, less polished Liam confessed to having had a serious crush in college. From his graduate school dorm room, his former roommate, Ethan, watched the clip on a loop. The familiar pang of bittersweet regret was a feeling he knew well. Before Liam's meteoric rise, he had once casually asked Ethan if there was anyone he liked. Ethan had deflected with a joke, a decision that had haunted him for years. Now, seeing Liam on the screen, a titan of the music industry, that old ache sharpened. Liam's work ethic was legendary. Since winning a national singing competition, he had relentlessly released albums, starred in films, and hosted shows. The tabloids called him a machine, relentlessly chasing fame and fortune. Liam never denied it, once stating in an interview that he was law-abiding and only a fool would turn down honest money. This blunt honesty had earned him a fiercely loyal fan base, of which Ethan had been a member from day one. Lately, Ethan had been buried in his thesis, barely glancing at social media. When he finally checked his phone, the fan Discord server was alight with notifications. Scrolling through the messages, he saw countless people had tagged him, asking if he'd seen the interview. As a veteran fan, he was the group's unofficial archivist for rare Liam content. But this clip was new even to him. In the video, a pre-fame Liam, still carrying the raw, restless energy of his college days, stood in a chaotic backstage corridor. The lighting was poor and the air was thick with noise, but his sharp features were impossible to miss. A host, in a moment of levity, brought up the rumor that Liam had been the big man on campus. The question of whether he had dated anyone was posed with a playful smirk. Liam's own lips curved into a faint smile as he confirmed he had not. The host seemed momentarily thrown, but Liam smoothly took control of the conversation, adding that there had been someone he liked. This piqued the host's interest, who then inquired if the person was a fellow student. Liam nodded. When asked if the person was in the entertainment industry, Liam paused before answering that they sort of were now. The video ended, but Ethan remained lost in the memory it evoked. Back on Twitter, the #1 trending topic was Liam's crush. Fans were working overtime to promote his new single, trying to drown out the gossip, but one tweet held the top spot. It was a slickly edited video compilation of Liam and another rising actor, Jared Kane, set to a saccharine pop song. The post suggested that Liam's vague description perfectly matched Jared, who had recently mentioned in his own interview that he had been a huge admirer of Liam's back in college. The video was a masterclass in implication, creating a narrative of secret glances and unspoken affection. Ethan closed the app, a frown creasing his brow. His admiration for Liam was separate from his fandom. He genuinely liked the man he had known. The exact moment those feelings had started was blurry, lost in a collection of small kindnesses. Maybe it was when Liam, the most popular guy in their year, had offered Ethan the empty spot in his dorm room. Or perhaps it was in the countless times Liam had offered steady, unwavering reassurance when Ethan's own confidence faltered. The door to his dorm room burst open as his roommates tumbled in, laughing. They saw Ethan staring at his phone and one of them nudged him, remarking that it wasn't the end of the world if his favorite celebrity was suddenly dating someone. They were jocks with a built-in skepticism for pop stars like Liam. Ethan remembered their baffled expressions when he first told them he was a fan, their thinly veiled suggestion that it was an unmanly interest. He had never considered their definition of masculinity worth his time. The greatest kindnesses in his life had come from women, and from Liam. He turned to face them, his expression serious. He failed to see how Liam liking someone constituted a scandal, pointing out that even the gossip blogs weren't being as dramatic as they were. Grabbing his phone, He walked out of the room, their dismissive comments about crazy fans fading behind him. He thought about his luck with roommates, which had always been terrible, both in undergrad and now. Liam was the sole, brilliant exception. A stroke of good fortune so profound it felt like he had used up a lifetime's worth. To clear his head, Ethan called his friend and fellow fan, Chloe. They had met online in the early days of the fandom and bonded instantly. He needed her to explain how Jared Kane's name had suddenly become intertwined with Liam's. While he waited for her at a coffee shop downtown, he recalled their first in-person meeting. She had circled his table 3 times before hesitantly asking if he was Island_boy, his old screen name. When he confirmed, she had gasped, exclaiming that she had been calling him honey and sweetie for months, and he had never corrected her. He'd simply thought it was her friendly way of talking. When Chloe arrived, she launched into a breathless explanation. Jared had been a guest on the reality show Liam currently hosted. In a solo interview segment, Jared had gushed about his admiration for Liam, claiming he'd voted for him religiously during the singing competition back in college. This sent internet sleuths digging. Combined with the newly unearthed interview, a narrative began to form. Jared, the devoted younger fan, and Liam, the cool upperclassman. A ship was born, and its fan community exploded overnight. Though same-sex marriage was legal, public acceptance wasn't universal, and the controversy fueled the flames. Jared, previously a relative unknown, was now riding Liam's coattails to a new level of fame. Liam's core fan base was furious, recognizing a clout chaser when they saw one. Learning the full story did little to ease Ethan's anxiety. Chloe, having vented her frustration, downed her iced latte and nudged him with a grin. She told him not to worry and reminded him that his birthday was coming up. She promised him a gift he would never forget. Lost in his own thoughts, Ethan didn't grasp the true weight of her words. After saying goodbye to Chloe, he wandered through campus, not ready to return to his dorm. His feet carried him to his old undergraduate residence hall, the one he had shared with Liam. He sat on a bench under a sprawling oak tree, staring at the pinned contact at the top of his messaging app. It had been 3 years since they had last spoken. On the night Liam won the competition, Ethan had worked up the courage to send a one-word text. Congratulations. He never received a reply and assumed Liam had changed his number to deal with the flood of attention. That assumption gave Ethan a strange sense of freedom. The silent chat became his digital diary, a place to confess his anxieties, celebrate small victories, and whisper his unrequited feelings into the void. Looking up at the window of their old room, he typed a new message. Are you okay? Is Jared giving you trouble? I'm sorry. The next morning, a frantic call from Chloe woke him. He fumbled for his earbuds as she yelled at him to check Twitter. The top trend was Liam's pin chat. Clicking on it, he saw a gallery of photos of Liam arriving at the studio that morning. The centerpiece was a zoomed-in shot of Liam's phone screen. It was open to his messaging app, and at the very top was a pinned conversation with an intimate nickname, Coward. The Liam and Jared shippers were ecstatic. This was confirmation. Jared had mentioned on the show that he was afraid of the dark. It had to be him. Ethan felt a complicated knot tighten in his stomach. Couldn't be Jared. Chloe agreed, though she sighed dramatically, lamenting that she was probably about to get a son-in-law. Despite being only a sophomore, she had adopted the persona of Liam's protective mother online. Shaking off her own disappointment, she asked if he had received her gift yet. A notification on his screen caught his eye. It was an email. Hello, this is the production team for Mountain Harmony. Your application has been approved. Filming for the next episode begins this weekend. Please confirm your availability. Mountain Harmony was Liam's show, a docu-series that explored regional American folk music. Occasionally, they invited non-celebrities to participate. Chloe had submitted an application on his behalf, and somehow he had been chosen. A whirlwind of shock, hesitation, and a deep, thrumming excitement pulsed through him. He had no desire to be on camera, but the chance to see Liam again, the man who was once a constant presence and now felt a universe away, was an irresistible pull. Before he could fully process it, his phone rang with an unknown number. By the time he hung up, he had confirmed his participation with a producer. His heart hammered against his ribs. He was going to see Liam. Just this once, he would let himself be reckless. The week crawled by. On Friday, he was driven with the crew to the filming location, a beautiful rustic lodge nestled deep in the Rocky Mountains. The crew was a hive of activity, setting up lights and testing audio. Ethan was left to his own devices, so he found a quiet corner to research the local musical traditions. He hadn't been there long when a large man clapped him on the shoulder, gruffly asking which department he was with and telling him not to slack off. Before Ethan could explain, the man shoved a heavy crate of bottled water into his arms and then rushed off to greet an arriving SUV. The man's abrupt movement caused Ethan to stumble, nearly dropping the crate. He followed the man's gaze and saw Jared Kane emerge from the vehicle, a smug, artificial smile on his face. Ethan froze. He'd thought Jared was a one-time guest. The network must have invited him back. Jared's eyes scanned the area and landed on Ethan. A mocking smirk played on his lips. Unwilling to engage, Ethan turned to walk away, but Jared intercepted him, blocking his path. Jared's voice was low and dripping with condescension as he observed how poorly Ethan seemed to be doing. He had thought latching onto Liam back in college would have gotten him somewhere better than being a glorified production assistant. Ethan said nothing, simply sidestepping him. Speaking to Jared was a waste of breath. As he passed, Jared reached into the crate, pulled out a bottle of water, and called after him to make sure his suite was stocked with extra. Later, when Ethan returned to the main lodge, the other celebrity guests had arrived and were waiting to be assigned their rooms for the weekend. The director was impatiently asking where the civilian guest was. Ethan hurried over, apologizing for his tardiness. In his peripheral vision, he saw Liam, leaning against a wooden pillar, chatting casually with another cast member. It seemed their small reunion had gone completely unnoticed by him. This was so much worse than he had imagined. Jared's gaze was on him, full of smug satisfaction. The director pointed, telling Ethan to join the others. He hesitated, then chose a spot at the far end of the group, as far from Liam as possible. So Liam really hadn't recognized him. A wave of regret washed over him. Maybe he shouldn't have come. He lowered his head, hoping no one would see the disappointment on his face. A moment later, the actress next to him nudged his arm, whispering that Liam had just picked him and that he needed to respond. Ethan's head snapped up. Everyone was staring at him, their expressions a mixture of shock and confusion. No one could understand why the A-list star would choose to room with a complete unknown. And then Liam was walking toward him, the afternoon sun creating a halo around his silhouette. He looked down at Ethan, his smile as bright and disarming as it had always been. "Rumi, long time no see." At the sound of those simple words, Ethan's eyes burned. The term roommate had been a source of pain for most of his life, synonymous with exclusion and cruelty. That all changed the day he met Liam in the student advisor's office. Liam had overheard his desperate request for a room change and had offered him the empty bed in his own single room. From that day on, his life transformed. Liam, it seemed, was fascinated by the novelty of having a roommate and took Ethan everywhere. "Hey, Rumi," let's get food. Ethan, library now. Finals are killing me. Ethan, can you toss me a towel? Ethan had always hated the sound of his own name, associating it with insults. But when Liam said it, it sounded different. Sometimes he would pretend not to hear, just to hear Liam say it again, drawing out the syllables. Ethan. Hey, Ethan. It might have been his imagination, but after Liam's public acknowledgement, everyone on set seemed warmer toward him. The crew member who had made him carry the water came over to apologize profusely. That evening's shoot was relaxed, centered around a large dinner featuring local cuisine. Liam was the focus of attention, gamely learning to sing a traditional folk song. As the night wore on, a producer, sensing an opportunity for good television, asked Liam about the person he'd mentioned in that old interview. The question hung in the air, and the other guests leaned in, their eyes glinting with curiosity. Liam set his glass down, a slow smile spreading across his face. He confirmed they were still in touch. The producer pressed, asking if it was a man. Liam's answer was a simple yes. A collective gasp went through the crew. The producer, sensing a major scoop, asked if the person was present at the lodge. A staffer who was a vocal Liam and Jared shipper clasped her hands together in giddy anticipation. Liam's gaze flickered downward for a moment, a playful coyness in his expression. A voice cut through the tension. Ethan hadn't meant to speak, but the words tumbled out, asking why everyone was so focused on Liam. Couldn't they ask someone else a question for a change? The table fell silent, and disapproving looks were shot in his direction. Liam quickly came to his defense, agreeing that the spotlight should move. The conversation shifted, and under the table, Liam's hand briefly rested on Ethan's knee, a silent gesture of reassurance. For the rest of the dinner, Liam was subdued, while Jared took over, commanding the room. The topic turned to strange encounters and bizarre people they had met. Jared set down his fork, his expression theatrical. He announced he had a story that would astound them. He spoke of a former classmate who had been aggressively obsessed with him, refusing to take no for an answer, a pathetic hanger-on who followed him everywhere. Thud. Liam slammed his beer bottle onto the wooden table, the sound cutting off Jared's story. He pushed his chair back and stood up, his voice cold. He was tired, he announced, and was going to bed. The day's filming was essentially over, and no one argued. As he walked toward the stairs, he paused and looked back at Ethan, who was still frozen in his seat. Ethan, aren't you coming? It had been 3 years, but sharing a room with Liam again felt both surreal and deeply familiar. The room was small and rustic, with a single large bed and a small wooden sofa. Ethan didn't offer to take the sofa. This might be the only chance he would ever have to be this close to Liam again. He told Liam to shower first, acutely aware of the cameras and microphones hidden in the room. When Ethan finished his own shower, he found Liam dressed again, his hand on the doorknob. Liam said he was stepping out for a bit and told him not to lock the door. Ethan had intended to wait up, but the emotional exhaustion of the day pulled him under. He didn't know how much time had passed when he felt a presence in the room. He opened his eyes, and in the faint moonlight filtering through the window, he saw Liam's silhouette. As their eyes met, Liam gently placed a cool, dry palm over his eyes, whispering for him to go back to sleep. The gesture was so unexpectedly tender that Ethan's defenses crumbled, and he drifted into a peaceful sleep, wondering where Liam had gone so late at night. The next 2 days of filming passed smoothly. On Sunday afternoon, Liam instructed Ethan to ride with him to the airport. The moment they were in the SUV, Liam raised the privacy divider, ignoring the curious glance from his manager in the front seat. He turned to Ethan, his gaze intense. "We couldn't really talk for the past 2 days. Now we can. You have nothing you want to say to me after all this time? The question caught Ethan off guard. He stammered, asking if Liam had been doing okay these past few years. Liam just nodded, his eyes expectant. Ethan then asked if Jared was causing him trouble, voicing his concern that Jared seemed to have ill intentions. Liam snorted, dismissing Jared as a nobody he was prepared to handle. With his two biggest worries addressed, Ethan relaxed back into the leather seat. The silence was comfortable, but just as he thought they would ride the rest of the way without speaking, Liam leaned in close, his voice a low murmur in Ethan's ear. "Is that it? Nothing else? I thought you showing up here meant things would be different." The undisguised disappointment in his tone was a punch to the gut. Ethan opened his mouth to explain, to apologize, to say anything, but the words wouldn't come. As they neared the airport, Liam spoke again, his voice flat. "I guess you still need a push." Ethan looked at him, bewildered, but Liam had already closed his eyes, his face a mask. The departure terminal was a chaotic mob of fans and paparazzi. Liam pulled his mask up higher and shot Ethan a look, telling him to stay close. The crush of bodies was overwhelming, the air filled with screams and flashing cameras. Liam didn't acknowledge anyone, moving swiftly through the crowd. At the security checkpoint, just as they were about to part ways, he did something no one expected. He turned and faced a young woman who had been shouting Jared's name. His voice was clear and steady, cutting through the din. "You asked me to take care of Jared? I'm afraid I can't do that. I don't know him." A stunned silence fell over the crowd. The implication was seismic. Standing there, Ethan knew a war was about to begin. After security, they stood at the junction between their respective gates, heading to different cities. The finality of the moment washed over him. He had told himself this was a one-time indulgence, but now that he had a taste of it, he wanted more. He snuck a glance at Liam's profile, wondering when, or if, he would ever see him again. As if reading his mind, Liam looked down at him. "If you don't say it now, you might not get another chance." The words emboldened him. Taking a shallow breath, Ethan managed to ask if he could have his current contact information. A slow, genuine laugh escaped Liam's lips. He leaned in again, his voice a conspiratorial whisper. "Did you delete me?" Ethan's eyes widened in shock. "Coward," Liam murmured, a fond smile in his eyes. "Don't worry. I'll give you time." It hit him then. His silent confidant, his digital diary, had been reading his messages all along. His tree hole had a pair of eyes, and they had been patiently waiting for him to take a real step forward. Sitting alone at his gate, the heat still hadn't left his face. He realized something else, too. Liam never used the main terminal. He always went through a private VIP channel. He had walked through that mob for a reason. As expected, the clip of Liam's airport statement went viral. The internet exploded with speculation. The shippers who had been so vocal were now silent, their narrative shattered. The backlash was swift, with many accusing Liam of being arrogant and cruel. Jared's fans, feeling betrayed, went on the attack. Liam's own fanbase fought back, arguing that he was just telling the truth. The battle lines were drawn, but it was clear who had orchestrated the new wave of negativity. Jared masterfully played the victim, consolidating a new legion of sympathetic followers. Back on campus, Chloe insisted on a celebratory/commiserative drinking session at a local bar. She cursed Jared's name between gulps of beer, eventually turning her hazy gaze on Ethan. She asked him what it was like to meet her son in person. His head swimming from the alcohol, Ethan confessed that they had been roommates. Chloe shrieked with delight, declaring her undying envy. as he helped a staggering Chloe back to her dorm. She slurred that she hoped this mess would blow over and her son would never have to deal with that snake again. Her words were an ill omen. The next day, a prominent gossip blogger released a new video. Within minutes, it was the #1 trend. Liam bullies Jared. The footage was grainy and shaky, clearly filmed in secret at night. In the courtyard of the lodge, Liam and Jared were arguing. Jared leaned in and said something inaudible, and Liam's face contorted with rage before he threw a punch. Jared stumbled back, catching himself before he fell. The internet erupted. Liam was labeled a tyrant and aggressor. The court of public opinion was swift and brutal. Hashtags like Liam is over party and apologize to Jared trended for hours. Ethan knew Liam wouldn't attack someone without provocation. This was a setup, a trap. He had seen Jared do this before. They had been roommates in their first year of college, along with 2 other guys. Things were normal until Jared learned from a mutual acquaintance that Ethan was gay. Everything changed. Jared used the secret as a weapon, blackmailing Ethan into doing his homework, running his errands. He manipulated their other roommates into thinking they were just close friends. One night, when they were alone, Jared's cruelty escalated, demanding sexual favors. When Ethan refused and tried to leave, Jared slammed him against the floor. Their other roommates returned just in time, pulling them apart. Jared immediately played the victim, claiming that Ethan, the closet case, had come on to him. Their roommates' eyes turned on Ethan with suspicion and disgust. From that day on, his life in the dorm became a living hell. His belongings were vandalized, disinfectant was sprayed when he entered the room, and the other guys in the hall began to avoid him. He finally went to his RA, a young woman who was sympathetic but admitted there were no open rooms willing to take him. That's when Liam had appeared in the doorway, asking if he needed a place. He remembered Liam's warm, sincere eyes and how his heart had quietly, irrevocably, given itself over. Life with Liam was peaceful, but Jared's obsession continued. He would corner Ethan when he was alone, taunting him. One day, an anonymous post appeared on the campus confessions page, detailing the disgusting and inappropriate intimacy between Liam and his roommate, accompanied by secretly taken photos of them sharing a water bottle and Liam wiping a smudge from Ethan's cheek. The post backfired. Most of the comments were from girls swooning over the pictures. The post was quickly deleted, but the damage was done. When Liam returned from a weekend at home, he had a cut on his forehead. The post had made its way to his parents. Liam had just shrugged, ruffling Ethan's hair and telling him not to feel guilty. In fact, he said, it had saved him the trouble of coming out to them himself. Now, Jared was using the same tactics, trying to drag Liam into the mud with him. By noon, Jared posted a statement to his own social media. "I'm fine. Let's all be kind to one another. Love." The comment section flooded with messages of support for him and vitriol for Liam. Liam's scheduled brand livestream was canceled. The network announced that the next episode of Mountain Harmony would be postponed indefinitely. Ethan texted Liam, his fingers trembling. "Are you okay?" The reply was almost immediate. "Don't worry. The best counterattack comes when your enemy is at their most arrogant." At 2 o'clock, Liam's studio issued its first response. A lawyer's letter, posted on Twitter, naming several of Jared's most prominent and slanderous fan accounts in a defamation lawsuit. This only enraged Jared's base further, and they doubled down on their attacks. At 3 o'clock, the studio posted again. This time, it was an audio file. The recording began with static, then 2 voices became clear. It was Jared and Liam from that night in the courtyard. Jared's voice was a venomous sneer. taunting Liam about being hung up on the same person for years, gloating that he had almost had him for himself. Liam's voice was dangerously low. Jared that he was lucky he hadn't succeeded. Jared continued to prod, saying Liam should thank him. Without his intervention, Liam and his crush might never have connected. He ended with a vile offer, suggesting that when Liam was done with his leftovers, he wouldn't mind a taste. Then came the sound of a fist connecting with flesh. The recording ended. The audio file went nuclear. The context changed everything. The internet realized Jared had deliberately provoked Liam by insulting the person he cared about. The narrative shifted from Liam the bully to Liam the protector. Public curiosity about the identity of this mysterious him reached a fever pitch. At 4 o'clock, the floodgates opened. Gossip blogs were suddenly inundated with tips about Jared. Photos emerged of him at upscale hotels with a variety of wealthy men and women. Their faces blurred, but their designer clothes and luxury cars telling their own story. The narrative shifted again. Jared was no longer the victim. He was an opportunist, a social climber. The nickname Hollywood's kept boy began to stick. His carefully crafted image shattered. Someone claiming to be a former classmate corroborated the bullying story from the audio, and suddenly all the pieces clicked into place for the public. Brands dropped him. His agency terminated his contract. The wealthy patrons who had once funded his lifestyle disappeared, afraid of being tainted by the scandal. Jared Kane vanished from the public eye as quickly as he had appeared. A month later, after filming for his new movie Wrapped, Liam was mobbed by reporters at the airport. Flashes blinded him as questions were shouted from all directions. One reporter's voice cut through the noise. "Liam, what's the status with the person from the recording?" Liam, who had been looking at the floor, lifted his head. He looked directly into the nearest camera, his voice clear and unwavering. "I'm waiting for him to walk toward me." For years ago, on the night before Liam left for the competition that would change his life, they sat on a stone wall overlooking the city lights, sharing a cheap bottle of wine. "Is there anyone you like?" Liam had asked, his expression soft in the dim light. Ethan was so close to confessing everything. Instead, he took a swig of wine and laughed it off, making a stupid joke about being too focused on his future to fall in love. Liam had just sighed, a quiet breath against Ethan's ear. Coward. He was right. Ethan had been a coward. Not long before that night, Liam's mother had paid him a visit. She was elegant, polite, and direct. She told him that her son was destined for great things, and that she hoped no current attachments would hold him back. The message was clear. Ethan had smiled and promised her she had nothing to worry about. He had been a good, obedient boy, but he didn't want to be a good boy anymore. The person he had loved for years was waiting for him. Liam was waiting, and this time he was finally going to walk toward him.